G'day everybody, Simon here, Explosive Action, back for another review for the Heavy Metallurgy. This time I'm going to take a look at the new album from Dipygus. Dipygus are a Californian five-piece who brought their cannibalistic ways onto the scene back in 2016. After a successful demo, the band switched vocalists in 2018 to frontwoman Clarissa for their two-track EP, Long Pig Feast. With obvious nods to both Autopsy and Impetigo, Dipygus began crafting their brand of caveman death metal in preparation for their debut full-length in 2019 with Death Ooze. Revealing a punky edge to their slimy death doom and an obsession with unholy creatures and the macabre, the band were quick to differentiate their sound from other modern murky death metal bands like Fetid and Cerebral Rot. In 2021, the band followed up with their sophomore full-length release, Bushmeat, an all-round filthier sounding release, swinging from D-beat to death doom with ease. This is also the album that saw the band go from a four-piece to a five-piece, the addition of a second guitarist, that really opened up the diversity in their sound, taking it to the next level. It brought in a raft of exotic tropical diseases with it. After a generous 26-minute EP in 2023 called Wet Market, the band are back with their third full-length, simply entitled Dipygus. Beginning with an ominous introductory speech discussing Neanderthal Man, the first track, Perverse Termination, Bulb of Force, slimes its way in the ugliest way possible. Sluggish double kicks and churning, disgusting riffs, accentuated by a very prominent bass guitar sound, as well as Clarissa's cavewoman-like vocals. At the midway mark, the track speeds up and we are introduced to the first of somewhat oddball and unexpected guitar leads, taking us back to a slower drawl with sporadic drumming that gives us the most early Autopsy feels so far. Another cracking lead, followed by a short ripping solo, and we are into the second track, Aqua Genesis. This comes in with a pitter-patter of drums and what sounds like a synth that you might hear on an Acid Witch album, switching up to a fast D-beat attack, altered with rolling double kicks, all the while a rabid rhythm and bass line is playing. The meat pounding continues into the middle section, slowing down, and I love the joint sound of the rhythm and bass guitar on this album when they play together. For something so primal as Dipygus, the strings here are quite creative and adventurous, reminding me a little of something like Vastum. Just as much as Human Meat and Potatoes stay rooted to the classic Autopsy and of course the Impetigo sound. The bass guitar takes a real focus on the third track, almost acting as a lead. The hammer is really on here with a pounding 1-2 style of old school death metal for the most part. A headbanging groove finds its way into the latter part of the track to exercise those neck muscles, but this track is a real direct attack. Vipers at Pony Keg is the fourth track and again has a real swinging groove to it. I've talked about ugly, putrid and filthy death metal before here and on my own channel, but the sound Dipygus get from their instruments along with the nasty vocals really leave you feeling submerged in ooze. But thankfully it's not all atmosphere and production. Dipygus have amassed a collection of great death metal riffs and they articulate them with a primal passion. The fifth track, Ross Sea Trawler, is the blastiest by far. A real death grind opening with the speed obscured by that tasty bass guitar sound. Of course, they switch it up after a minute to be the slowest track on the album, a dirge of death doom replacing that speed. A soaring, almost abstract sounding lead guitar playing over that funeral noise. We pause to the sounds of underwater bubbling, something in the depths, before kicking back fast into gear again. The ending builds up into a cacophony of sounds, It's fun how this track goes from exhumed at one end to Untergang at the other. This is followed by the sub 2 minute length track Bug Sounds 2. It is less the sounds of creatures and more the sounds of a bandsaw over horror synth and a digital beat. The Dover Demon, however, is crushing with rolling toms and wailing dive bombs. At only 3 minutes, this is still the most interesting and borderline improvised track on the album. It rarely finds a consistent groove or pathway through the song, switching from pattern to pattern, not always completing a standard 4 bars before changing into something else. Ending in a drum blast with frankly weird keyboard notes playing over the top. I played this track a few times just to digest it. I failed, but I enjoyed it each time. Short instrumental Rat Lung Worm at under 2 minutes follows a similar disjointed sound as its predecessor, trying every element in the death metal sync to get the message across. But it's the 9th track, Sacral Brain, over 11-minute opus of gooey death metal goodness, creeping in with that pitter-patter double bass sound again, a dissonant pairing of guitars laying down the theme, slowing instantly to a doom pace with a solo that makes me reach for those special cigarettes. This song is a pretty epic combination of everything you've heard thus far on the album, mainly centering itself around a core death doom riff. Separated then by a movie quote in the latter part of the song, it takes us on to a slightly different journey. It still crawls in getting us there. The disjointed guitars and thundering drums driving over a continuation of that movie sound sample that seems to suggest a panic somewhere is unfolding. Fading into the final track, the Otropy Skunk Ape, which is purely a recording of a man's encounter with a Sasquatch creature over the sounds of a spacey synth. And finally, a last gasp of drugged out death metal riffs and tortured vocals see us to the end of the album. Dipygus have really gone somewhere further on their third self-titled album. If you're going to name your album after your band, it better be your best work yet. In the case of Dipygus, it truly is. Everything from the riffs to the song construction to the overall production has taken another step up. There really is so much creativity going on musically here that on the surface you wouldn't expect from this visibly caveman artwork. I've enjoyed listening to the promo of this album since November, and I'm eager for my copy on LP from Crypto the Wizard to arrive. But you can get a copy on CD right now from Memento Mori or on cassette from Headsplit Records. I hope you've enjoyed this little review for the third album from Dipygus. It really is a nasty bit of work, but I loved every second of it. Make sure you check out the other reviews on this channel, and check me out on Explosive Action. Hope you enjoyed watching, and I'll see you next time.